Hi, everyone. So we are ready to start. If you are, we'll begin with the webinar. We are connecting from Prague. We'd be really curious to know where are you guys located. Let us know. We'd like that little insight. We'd like to maybe introduce ourselves here in the room. We have a couple of people to help us through this.
Guatemala.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining. So who are we? Maybe starting from you, Michal.
Sure. Hi, so my name is Michal. I'm the director of acquisition, which overseeing all of our performance marketing and just paid activities in general in Social Bakers. So if you've seen any of our ads or anything like that, that came from my team.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jan, and I work as a product manager here in Social Bakers. One of the areas that I am currently managing and taking care of is the area of paid analytics. So I am here to give you my insights on the market, give you our reasoning behind our solution, why we did that, what we did, and so on and so forth. So happy to be here.
And I have the content team. I'm Mantis. So I'm glad I can contribute from the content angle, but I'm really glad we have someone from paid. We have someone from product who's creating our solutions, and me too. Just to sort of see where you guys are joining from. We have people from Dallas, Mexico City, Colombia. Really cool. Very diverse crowd. We also be curious to know what kind of businesses are you guys working in? What kind of verticals? It would help us tailor the insights to maybe your fields a little bit better. But let's just quickly go down the agenda of what we'll cover today. So, of course, first we want to cover the landscape, the market trends that we're seeing, the data, maybe some of the survey results. Then we'll dive into talking about some of the problems, or maybe rather the framework that you need to approach the area of paid social media with. I think, Michal, your expertise will be really critical. And of course, a little bit on the product side of what are we doing to resolve those challenges. And then we're going to give you actionable tips that you can take away and start changing things in your business tomorrow. So this is all of the agenda, and we're going to dive right into it. So I see we have people from the fashion industry, entertainment industry. That's really cool. Those are really fun verticals. All right. Digital agency too. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Thanks for joining, Paolo. Quick poll. Who manages the social media campaigns in your agency? Are you guys working with agencies or in-house teams to do your paid social media? We never sure. We speak to our clients and it's sort of a mix.
It's like a mix between like in-housing your paid social media activities and outsourcing them to agencies. So I would say, like, based on what I've seen, it's like 50-50 mix, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. We're getting similar response from the attendees. Yeah, mixed 50-50. So we're going to talk about some of the challenges that come from that 50-50 approach, or being completely one direction. We have a bit of data in general where the trend of paid is heading. What do you think? You've been doing paid advertising for a while. So what changes have you seen?
Yeah, so actually what you can see even in the graph is that as we're coming to an end of 2019, we will be sort of crossing that milestone where digital spend is going to be most of the spend when it comes to advertising or general media spend. So actually, it's more important, than ever to understand, where your money's going, how it's being invested, what you're getting back for it, and just kind of understanding what's happening behind the closed door, mm-hmm. which oftentimes is a little bit hard, especially many times with bigger organizations and so on. It's critical to understand it, especially when you check how much of that money is actually spent in social media.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we actually have results that I thought was really worthwhile looking at this survey from Gartner on their well, they surveyed CMOs in America and UK, and we found that the first area of investment is really social media. So I think it's not going to change for the foreseeable future. We better get our things under control and start succeeding. I think this is right. We really think this webinar is pretty critical. Another stat from the survey: 32% of CMOs prioritize marketing analytics when it comes to their 2020 budgets, and
that makes sense. Right.
Yeah. And I agree with Michal here. That's basically why we have decided to create our solution to help our clients and our potential clients understand where exactly are they spending money, to understand whether they are optimally spending the money in a really simple way. So we have approached it in a way that it's like really simple to understand your spending and how optimally you are doing the spending. So I can just relate to Michal to what he was saying.
Yeah, it's critical, and of course we know it. We've been doing it for a while, but I think it's probably obvious to everyone outside MarTech industry that this is really the trend. But let's maybe look a little bit at the data that we have on paid social media. We sit on a huge data set, and we find always nuggets in this data that always surprise me. So for instance, one of them is which placement do people invest most in? What about you in the audience? Where do you place your ads? Michal, what about you?
Well, actually, what we're talking about first of all in this question is, is it going to the news feed? Are you investing in video, and so on? Is it an Instagram video? Is it a Facebook video, and so on? So let us know where you're seeing the biggest, let's say, returns, or where you are spending the most, and we'll then show you where we see the highest, let's say, the highest performance.
Yeah.
When it comes to us, we're as a B2B company, and actually you can write in chat if any of you are from a B2B business. Since we are a B2B company, we are actually heavily present on platforms like LinkedIn, for example, where what works for us is lead generation forms there. But this is not the case for most companies. Most companies, especially B2C companies, using LinkedIn is probably not the best investment of your money. But yeah, let us know where you invest, and if there are any B2B companies, let us know. We can go a little bit into that area as well.
We actually have really interesting responses from a couple of people. Valiant, thanks for joining. We got Facebook, YouTube, mostly feed ads. I agree. I think that's the intuition tells me feed is always where you spend most. Facebook, YouTube from Paolo, Instagram, and LinkedIn, SEM. Danaya, thanks for joining us. We invest in Facebook, lead gen campaigns the most. Got Instagram and Snapchat stories. So stories is obviously a new one, and we've seen plenty of success with stories on Instagram and Facebook. And LinkedIn extremely expensive versus Facebook, I think probably.
It is. Yeah. First of all, definitely it's very expensive compared to some of the other platforms. But actually, when you look at the big picture and how much it actually costs you down the funnel to actually get qualified leads out of it, in many cases, or in my experience and experience of many peers that I have working in a similar space, it actually turns out to be cheaper in the end. So,
and as well, like on LinkedIn, you're targeting totally different audience than on the other social media platforms. So
exactly.
Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, those are sort of a B2C social media platforms.
Sure.
Where you are a business and you want to advertise your services to other businesses, then you have to go on LinkedIn, because there is the target audience you are reaching out to.
Yeah, we have more responses. I think Facebook and IG for new readers from different demographics, run campaigns for TV shows, reach engagement, most important goals. I think we should reveal actually what we mean. So we're talking about placements on Facebook and Instagram, and this is quite curious data. Where's the most spend going right now if we look at Facebook, Instagram placements? And like someone said, feed the most. stories as well, suggested video, Instagram video. I'm surprised that they are in the top 5 anyway. But
I'm surprised actually it's so low, to be honest.
Right. Well, actually, it gets surprising when you see the click-through of these different placements. Suggested video always catches me by surprise. And these data points, why suggested video, Michal?
It's because of the Facebook algorithm. I'm pretty sure you have noticed that once you watch some video on Facebook, sure, they all start to suggesting you more and more videos, which are really relevant to you because they know what you're looking at and kind of attracts your eyes. So I'm not really that much surprised that the Facebook suggested video have such a high click-through rate compared to the other placement.
Makes sense, and even the Instagram video is actually it has higher CTRs than Instagram stories. So both video formats being pretty good, but not a lot of companies actually investing in them.
It's that there's an interesting distinction here between Instagram and Facebook, where you see Facebook being better at driving action and getting that click-through versus Instagram, cheap on reach and maybe awareness, more expensive when you need someone to take action.
Yeah, also maybe it's also because of maturity of the platform. So people might have over the years gotten more used to actually Facebook being a platform that advertisers choose to get in touch with their customers. So you expect a little bit more with Instagram. It could be that you go there primarily to look at pictures and so on, and you don't want to go out of it too much.
Right, you don't want to leave the app.
You don't like to leave it. So there could be many reasons, but.
And a lot of action on Facebook is driven actually on desktop, I imagine, where it's easy to take someone to a different site and get that quicker. Let's not dwell here too long. There's a lot to cover.
Yeah, the point we were trying to make is that unless you basically have data and you understand what works, what doesn't, and so on, you will not be able to make smart decisions, right? And this is an example where we can see like most companies investing in things that don't seem to have the initial signal of it actually being, being successful.
Yeah, that's a really solid point. Yeah. Let us know, how many ads are you running at the moment? Let's say Facebook or Instagram. Let's say that general area. Michal, how many ads do you think you're running? Do you know?
Well, I can't tell you the precise number. As we kind of shifted to LinkedIn, it changed things a little bit. But we used to run like hundreds of ads at the same time for sure. And we're not comparable to sizes of companies. Global companies that are like really large corporations that probably are running way more.
Okay, let's. So the audience is asking on ad level or campaign level. I think ad level we're speaking about here, right? So on ad level, Pavel, how many ads do you think you're running?
Yes, of course. Yeah, ad level. Yeah. And by the way, one thing actually that doesn't count into this are dynamic ads, which basically from one ad will create a whole bunch of new ads that are each unique. We're not talking about that.
Yeah.
We're talking about individual ads. Those dynamic ads being one.
50. We got an answer. We run about 50 as well from Tanaya. Sorry if I'm butchering your name. But we have a little sort of game prepared. If we can guess, how many ads do we think these businesses run?
And I have to say here, Mantas didn't share these numbers with us, so we'll take a guess.
Yeah.
Could be completely off.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend that I'm guessing. So
we'll guess.
So Chevrolet.
And
I don't know. 200?
Are we talking globally?
Yeah, globally. This is all.
I would say it's going to be like something like 2,000 maybe. What do you guys think?
500.
We're not going to reveal it until we get some tips or some guesses from you guys. So you're thinking how much?
I thought 200, but I think I'm way off.
I think it might be way off.
125.
Oh,
you must be working at Chevrolet.
Here's more than 1,000, Carlos.
Okay.
All right, let's see it.
All right, let's see it.
400. I was expecting a little bit more.
But you almost got it spot on. Next brand, Starbucks. We all had their coffee. What are we saying?
I would say
600, Christina says.
1,200.
1,200. Flora says 700. What do you think, Michal?
I'll say 1,500.
1,500.
Yeah.
And how much you say?
1,500.
1,500 as well? Okay, so
we have many responses, like
in the
2,000. 100 from Carlos. Very different mix.
Very different, yeah.
Starbucks, 1,300 again.
Almost.
Wait, you got it.
No, yeah, almost. I said 1,200. So
okay, cool.
All right, that's a lot of ads.
That's
a lot of ads.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're a big brand. I get it.
They're a big brand, yeah. But so is Chevrolet, by the way.
Amazon.
Oh.
Amazon.
7,000.
1,800
on Facebook. Okay. I feel like where most of their ads is going to be like Google and so on.
12,000.
All right. Trying to push me up to go like into like hundreds of thousands. No, I would say 4,000.
I mean, the amount of stuff they probably have to sell. You said
4,000. But I think most of them will be on Google or these kind of search engines.
Right.
Like that's
maybe it's not on Facebook. So we got 12,000 as the highest bidder.
12,000?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All this thing, 12,000.
Let's see what it is.
3.5.
I'm surprised it was actually pretty low, and I was expecting more.
It doesn't take away from the fact that if you have 3,500 ads to actually like keep track of what's happening.
Yeah, you actually need you need a team to do this, and it needs to be many people, and there needs to be AI in the background doing this. But that takes us to the next point, actually. Recently, Facebook said that it's going to start limiting the amount of ads that you as a business can do it, because they see too many advertisers running way too many ads to a point where the algorithm cannot optimize it. Or maybe Michal, you can explain
that makes sense. And I actually, when you mentioned this to me the first time, I actually thought of, I don't think this will really affect most regular businesses unless, for example, you're an e-commerce store which is using, for example, some sort of platform in the background that will create automatically ads for you and just kind of, try to target it to the audience. Let's say that they see visiting the website or something like that, or maybe too many remarketing ads that are customized per person. I think in these kind of cases, it could basically limit the algorithms' potential to actually optimize. So maybe they are trying to put a stop to these kind of things. But I think most businesses, if I remember correctly, it was like 5,000 ads, which is the limit.
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah.
If Amazon could get through it, I think most businesses should be fine. But yeah, it's it's. I mean, a lot of businesses trying a lot of things, and it actually prevents them from finding out the real, performers, because they just won't have enough data. If you fragment it to a lot of little pieces, none of them will get enough budget, right?
Or then you need to have a really, really large budget.
That's another thing. But then again, Amazon.
Right, they do. Right, that's a good point. So what's Amazon has the flexibility that any brand, most brands don't.
Yeah.
Okay. The point that we're getting to is that this is getting really complicated. Obviously, if we think a couple of years back, it was manageable. Now the amount of channels that we're doing this on, and just the amount of ads that we have to keep in the back of our mind, and we hear it from our clients. It's a mess.
Yes, definitely. And as you said, like having that large amount of ads, that large amount of paid activities on social media imposes the difficulty of tracking it, having a clear visibility, having a clear oversight on all your activities, which you really need to have in order to be able to have like fast and optimal decisions, right? So that's why we have created our paid analytics solution to help our clients with this general clear oversight.
Yeah, and hopefully we can dive a little bit deeper into the paid analytics. Maybe, Michal, you can share your experience, because you did this for different sorts of brands.
Yeah. So actually, I can share my experience that what I've seen working at a large like global corporation. So we used agencies, right? As many businesses do. In our case, Very little was done in-house, almost none of it. It was all basically outsourced to various agencies.
If I can just interrupt you, large corporation, you're not talking about Social Bakers. This is somewhere where you
No,
worked.
I'm not talking about us. This was just a brand that everybody knows, and
can look up on your LinkedIn.
Probably can, yeah, but they changed names, so we'll see. Anyway, so actually the problem I personally had, was that, first of all, in each country that I was responsible for, we had different agencies, and not just one. We actually had usually two agencies having access to our Facebook, or being able to advertise, being able to to manage our Facebook activities, and they both actually made their own ad account, right? So this was something which they were in control on, and the challenges I had, and I mean, it's normal practice. I've seen it happen many times. But the problem that we had, and it was not just in the region I was responsible for. It was also it was across the globe. Like every team, all of my peers, when we discussed it, we all had the same problem. Getting to the data was very difficult for us. Actually, getting the same data or getting the same reports from two different agencies was really hard in my experience. Of course, this was not just when it comes to working with agencies, but this was also internally. So one side of it was the fact that I was unable to get the same data, the same reports, same views, etc., from different agencies. By the way, many times these will be the same agency, just in different country. Because the contracts would often be global.
Right, but their teams aren't.
Their teams aren't aligned. So you would think that you're working with one agency, you will get the right things. In my case, and in case of many others, many of my friends that are working with in companies like this have the same problem.
Yeah, there's actually someone making a balance. Again, thanks for letting us know how it's working on your end. So they have a central ad account. They have central ad accounts, and we establish account in our business manager for each agency. Yes. They have the right to create and manage.
That's a good move. Not a lot of what I've seen, like as digitalization came to these large organizations, they kind of started doing it. A lot of them started doing it the wrong way because they didn't know exactly how to do it the best way, and a lot of these setups are sort of legacy setups. So in your case, you did it very well, and if all the companies did it this way, it would be much easier. And we did have our own ad accounts, but they were mostly global, and it was not easy to work. The other point I wanted to get to is actually that we had problem internally with reporting. The data we had from internal reports was not matching. So the global team, the global marketing team, their data would not match what we had, and it wouldn't match, from different regions. That it was not comparable. The campaigns we ran in one region compared to the other, which were the same campaign, let's say we had a global launch of some sort of new product, they were not comparable. The reports were just, it was a hassle getting it together. So this was what we struggled with, and this is actually what we're focused on resolving, to kind of, to build trust and to kind of get transparency and clarity into what's happening. Because otherwise we couldn't make good decisions. How could we make the right calls if we didn't know what's happening, and it was difficult to get to the information.
Yeah, and I think it's not just this one brand, like you said, it's many. And I think speaking probably with clients directly, you hear this a lot.
Yes, we heard a lot that when our clients, be that brands or agencies, working together, they were facing some sort of challenges where the agency had to deliver the reports to the brand. And sometimes it was not in a timely manner. So sometimes they were looking at old reports for, let's say, 4 or 5 days old report, which in the world of social media is a lot. 5 days, right? You need to have your data almost real time to really evaluate your performance. I've heard the same issue as Michal was talking about, the not matching of global reports versus different countries' reports. And these challenges, what Michal described and what I've talked about, this is exactly what we are solving with our solution that I will demonstrate in a couple of
minutes. So I think maybe the point for the audience is to kind of think at this point, how is it set up in your organization, this process?
Have you, by the way, had the same or similar experience? If so, let us know. It's interesting for us to understand how you are, seeing this, and if you are experiencing the same thing. I think in the case of Balint, it's a very good solution. I would be interested to see like how, let's say, what's the size of your organization? Because typically, I've seen the bigger they get, the slower they are to adapt, and more of these mistakes are kind of happening. But it could be that you are from your organization is very progressive. But many of the old, the companies everybody knows because they've been around for 100+ years and really are, known by everyone. They've been kind of slow to change.
Yeah, so kudos to you, Balint. We have to get you on the webinar and tell us more about how it's working. We use Supermetrics Connector and pull out the data from the central Facebook Business Manager, and we can filter among the territories.
Yeah, that's one way. That's one way to do it. And it seems like your organization is definitely a step ahead of most. So.
All right. Well, let's move forward a bit. So, when we're talking about measurement of your paid social media, it sort of divides into categories. And Michal, maybe you can walk us through some of these views that you have to consider when you're measuring or reporting.
Yeah. So, as I'm sure you all know, we're not going to teach you about the basics of like how it works. I'm sure you all know, but let's just I guess refresh it, or let's just remind ourselves that we're going from the macro scale to the micro scale, right? Or macro and micro view. At the ad campaign level, especially as a global company, but also if you're active in multiple countries, you might have multiple ad accounts in those countries, right? So this gives you the big an overview of how you're doing, where that ad account is being used. It gives you the big picture.
That's the ad account level we're talking about. Yeah.
Here, actually, one of the things, many companies have one ad account for, let's say, multiple countries, but many of them have one ad account for one country. It's different language, and there are a lot of things, different agency. So actually, what you might want to do on this level is to actually be able to compare, let's say, regions. You want to see how, once you have an aggregation of these ad accounts, you will be able to see the trends within, let's say, certain regions. You can compare certain things you weren't able to see before, or it was difficult to see. The same goes for campaign level, where, usually the campaigns are built around the topic. It could be, like I said, a launch of a new product. It could be always on campaigns, but usually many of these campaigns that are being heavily invested into are something specific, new product line, some new, just general like motion within the company to kind of emphasize certain product. It could be holiday campaigns and so on. And, especially these are very hard to compare across multiple regions, or, just multiple ad accounts and so on. So, having the ability, especially as a larger company, or as a let's say a startup that's trying to go globally, it will be very, very beneficial. And of course, we have the last one, which is ad level, which is the most granular one. But this is generally, here, this is mainly for optimization, like to see what works, what doesn't. So
we'll get to them a bit more granularly later, but I think we can just move into the individual sections. So you just mentioned the ad account level. So probably the first thing is that you really need to have access to your data to even start really understanding anything on the ad account level, and not everyone actually has access to this ad account.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, this is another problem that we heard, was that as we were talking in the beginning, that the mix between in-housing of paid activities and outsourcing to agencies is like 50-50. A lot of these clients who are outsourcing their activities to the agencies at some point do not have access to their data, to their ad accounts. So what we were promoting is to for these brands to have access to their ad accounts, so they can connect them inside our suites, and they can monitor their paid activities. What we've noticed as well is that the trend in the year 2000, I believe in the graph was like 2018-19, right?
Yeah,
this month,
right. So
yeah, okay.
A little bit maybe to wind back. So why are we talking about this? Well, there seems to be some kind of a misalignment between the agency side and the brands, and not always all that data is visible or exchanged. Yeah. And something breaks down when there's no transparency between what's being spent and the results, and a lot of what you I'll explain, that the reporting doesn't match, and it causes a sort of a mistrust.
Exactly. Which if we both would have this common goal, right? Like an agency wants to make sure that the customer succeeds, so that they will work with them in the future, and the customer wants to make sure, they want the agency to help them succeed. So the goal is the same, but there's a little bit of mistrust when things are, let's say, in a black box. Mm-hmm. And the research that we'll show in a second will kind of show that. So let us ask you a question. So what do you think is the percent? And I hope you didn't see the next slide.
I'm sorry I revealed it. That's my fault.
So what do you think is like the percentage of marketers that distrust their agency partners?
Do you trust the agencies, or actually some of you are joining us from the agencies? Do you see this problem? Is that something that you deal with? We'd be curious to find out. Mm-hmm. 35%, Alan says.
35% distrust. Okay.
Well, you're usually quite accurate, so am I?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, Balin is one of the most accurate attendees that we have here today.
70%.
Okay. Oh, that's a very.
All right, that's quite a big difference.
I think 60%, 70%.
I think.
Any more guesses?
I suppose, Jan, when you speak to our clients, it's probably also like some have just better relationships, but it's just there's a range.
It usually boils down to the relationship and between the brand and the agency, and that's exactly what we were trying to solve, to improve the relationship between these two parties. So as some of the members of our audience are pointing out, that's exactly what I have found out doing my research, and that's one of the key things I wanted to focus on, to improve the relationship, so that both of these parties benefit from having the transparency, as we talked about, and total oversight.
Okay, so let's see the numbers. I'm very curious.
So I think it falls somewhere in between all of our results. So some of them, I think most of you got it really, really on point. So it is right now somewhere around 40%.
No, I would say it's more, because very low, and average, if you take, let's say, half of average to go to distrust. The more important thing here actually is the fact that it's dropping. So when you look at 2016 versus 2018, where a lot of those votes were an average, they actually went to low, and we're kind of slowly getting worse. And this is not what we, and the number is 40%, but the important message is that it's not improving.
And I wanted to point out one thing that Balin is writing in the chat. He's writing that you should not let the agency to create the reports, and that you should keep analytics and reporting on your side. And that is exactly another problem that we saw, that the reports were not timely, they were not accurate. And so this, again, as Balin is really, really to the point today, that's exactly what we see. We wanted to let the management of your paid activities be outsourced, but the oversight of the activities, let it be in-house, right? So that's what we did.
I would love to hear from someone on the agency side to let us know what is that side of the problem like, a little bit more, if you have a chance. But
just let us know in the comments and we'll pick it up.
So, well, the pain point we just described. So there is a big need for greater transparency. And I think, you just said that that's something that you actually set up for our clients. Like you guys go there and you look at the problem and you fix it. And I think maybe it would be a good time to show how it actually looks in our platform.
Let's dive.
I'll try to transition smoothly out of my screen sharing. I apologize if I messed up. All right.
All right. I hope everyone can see my screen now. So what we did is we have created a solution where you guys can analyze, or where our clients can analyze their activities on Facebook and Instagram at this moment on the level of ad accounts and campaigns. So I will show you how it works. You can see that we have already multiple ad accounts connected in here. I'm going to select just one ad account. And now I can see a couple of logical groupings or a couple of logical views that we think our clients want to have. So I can have a general spending overview on that particular ad account that I have selected, right? Right at this point, we have selected the most important metrics that we saw our clients are interested in, but we are gradually adding more and more metrics as we go. So you can see like a total paid insights overview. You can have a look at how your spends were evolving each day on that particular ad account, how your CPC or CPM was evolving in that particular ad account. What is more interesting are the other views where you can actually see how you are spending your money for each platform, right? So you can see that on this particular ad account in last month, we were spending a lot of Instagram, and then we were spending some money on the audience network too, right? I can even see like where exactly on that platform I have spent the money. So for example, on Instagram, I see that my money was spent in Instagram feeds and some of my money was spent in Instagram stories. And then we have the same breakdowns as we had for paid insights overview. We have the breakdowns for CPC by platform and placement and CPM. But we're not stopping here.
Just quickly, these numbers, like 12 euros, what you're showing there, it's 12K, or this is just hypothetical?
This is just hypothetical.
Yeah.
What's more important or more interesting is the actually like spend breakdowns per audience, right? So you can see like how well your audience, how well did you target your audience, or what kind of audience resonated with your spend, where you spend that, right? So you see that these ad accounts we only spent in Czech Republic, so probably there was only for Czech Republic, and we have as well a view for campaign objectives. So you can see like the campaigns we ran from these ad accounts were mostly focused on click links and post engagements. But what I can do as well is I can have a look, I can select another ad account. And this is really interesting view for clients for a global holistic view. So for example, if you're using an ad account for each country, and if you want to have a quick overview on the global activities, you select 2 and more ad accounts, and then you can go through the same views. So if I'm going to click on audience, now I can see you see that my graphs are now different. I can see that I spend most of my money in Brazil, then United States, and so on and so forth. But what you can do as well here, you can have a look at the comparison. So you can compare 2 ad accounts together. So in this particular view, if you're using an ad account per country, you can have an easy oversight on the performance on different countries, different regions, which is vital to understand like how each regions are spending your money. So we also have catered to some. So this whole solution, we know what the challenges with Facebook Business Manager were. It's very complicated, and if you want to have like a really quick overview on your activities, you need to go in there, you need to export the values, then you need to collate them in some Excel report or something, which is very time consuming. Whereas how we aim to have a look at, how we aim to solve this was have precise reports, real-time reports, and a couple of clicks. So I've just talked about only ad accounts, but what you can do here as well is to analyze your campaigns in the ad accounts. So you can see my selections of these 2 ad accounts. I am now being presented with all the campaigns that I have ran or am currently running in the last month, right? So I can go here, I can analyze one ad campaign, I can have and again, we have the same views as for ad accounts, but on campaigns level. I can go back and I can select even more campaigns to see
more granular.
To have a more granular view, right? Platform replacement. I can see where I have spent my money for these 3 campaigns.
And of course, people can access this from different locations and different places, around the world, really.
Exactly.
Working.
Yeah. And actually, one of the things which you can do on Facebook, or it's very, very limited, is the visual element of these reports, which you would have to take it out of it and kind of make it on your own.
Yeah, and as I said, the data here is almost real time. So like whenever you're going here, whenever you do the analysis, you can be 100% sure that you are getting the real time data, which then will serve for the optimal decisions that you want to take.
Okay, so this is about bringing all your sort of ad account data into one place and seeing. We have a question from the audience.
Right. So what's the audience network? All right. So actually, audience network, those are basically partner websites that Facebook is associated with, similar to how you have it in Google. So you will be able to see Google Ads and some other platforms or some other websites, which is not its own website. It works similarly for Facebook. So these audience networks, they're other, let's say, networks where the audience from Facebook can be found. They have basically many of these websites. They track users. All the Facebook like buttons, etc. They're all tracking the user's behavior, so they can identify it easily. They can match it with your profile on Facebook, and if you are part of the target audience that you defined, and you find yourself on a different website which actually supports some of these ad placements by Facebook, you will be shown that ad even though you're outside of Facebook or Instagram or any of its owned platform. So that's actually what the audience network is.
It's a pretty great short summary.
Thank you.
This slide is kind of summarizing what you just said through the demo, is that it is about connecting the different teams together, whether it's client agency, whether it's headquarters, regional teams, CMO, the VP of marketing, and the performance teams. And I think this is how you envision the future. If we all solve it, we're all happy, sort of peace in one pod.
That will be my vision as the product manager of the paid analytics module.
Okay. Moving to the next level, briefly, we should touch on some things there. So I think, Michal, you mentioned the regional teams already.
Yeah. So for sure, collaboration on a larger scale, and getting insights from other teams. So for example, where this can actually help, and where all of the pieces could be in one pod, is you have the same campaign running across the globe, or let's say in one in one part of the world, a big part, and you have separate people responsible for different regions, but you want to know how this campaign is doing, how they're doing it. They will have access to this data. They could go and check out that campaign from another country. Let's say you might have there might be a campaign that's very similar in Canada, to the US, or it could be Brazil and Mexico, or whatever. It could be Emirates and Argentina. You're seeing different results, and you want to understand what's happening. Maybe you could use it in the local in your local region, for example, or if you're a manager kind of overseeing all these global activities, you will see that, okay, this region is performing better. Let's see why. Let's look at the audience. Let's see who's what they're doing that is that is different, and they can share these best practices. That's one thing. Also, when it comes to sharing feedback, so you can, getting the data really quickly and being able to see it as a marketer within a company, or even if as an agency, if you're managing multiple ad accounts from one company from different regions, it will really help you get to the data much more quickly, and you can get you can make actionable you can get actionable insights and make quicker decisions. That's for sure one of them.
Yeah, you want that feedback loop to be really short when you're running it. And there's no point in running a holiday campaign that lasts, a month and then get reporting after it's done. You need it every day.
To be honest, that was one of the things which I haven't mentioned, but experience. We would do reporting as often as we were able to, but it would be, let's say, once a week. You know what I mean? And sometimes, the person, let's say from the agency, would not be available, so there one of them would be missing. And it would definitely create a lot of let's say unnecessary stress, let's say, on the people, because we didn't know what's happening. We didn't know if we hit it right or if we need to adjust something, and just having access to it straight away just makes it a lot better, and you can definitely make changes if you see something that's not working.
And the last 2 points.
So of course, one of the things which is greatly beneficial, and we've seen it a little bit in the demo, is that you can see the goals, and you can see if you're reaching those goals easily. You can see what the campaign objectives were, and you can really get to understand how well you're doing. And the last one, actually, checking if goal tracking is enabled and reporting correctly. This is actually something, as I could say for us, and I'm sure for many other businesses, especially like e-commerce, trying to get that signal if it was, if you sold that product, if the customer bought it, is very important. As well as, for business like us, we want to know if we, get those leads, get those, conversions that we're looking for. I don't know, subscribers, whatever it is. It's important to.
Yeah, it's a big technical area as well, and I think it's almost like it's separate long webinars needed for that. So we'll get there when the time is right. But for this webinar, we're going to move to the last level, which is the ad level. So really briefly, Michal, this is the area where there's a lot of optimization you mentioned that's happening.
Yeah, for sure. So when it comes to tracking the ads, of course you want. There are different levels we can see here, throughout the different steps. The amounts of people are just different. The amount of the types of ads, the things you are tracking in general are very, very different. So, so, you need to kind of adjust to what it is you're tracking, and make sure to monitor the right, basically the right types of metrics.
Right. I mean, it's
one. So we listed a couple of them that are the most common for different parts in the buying process, but it could vary based on your business as well.
Right, it depends on what the campaign objective is, or what the objective is during that season, or it's.
But basically, missing these insights will just render you incapable of making good calls.
Yeah. And that's something that we'll get to as well, right, Jan, in terms of product.
Yes. So we are currently working on implementing the single pieces of ads into another part of the platform, where our clients will actually be able to see all their ads on Facebook, Instagram, following by other platforms, all the placements, all the performance of each ad. So they can cater as well to the design departments, where the design departments can understand how certain creatives perform or resonate with certain audience, and optimize of the level of creatives or copies.
So it really becomes one place, all the way from having this big overview on the ad account level to the granular, creative, what happened there.
Exactly.
We promised that we give you a couple of quick takeaways that you can go back and start implementing tomorrow. And so this is going to be like a rapid fire shootout of different tips. of what you should perhaps think about tomorrow or today if you have time.
Yeah, and it's more about just getting you to think about these things. Just understanding like where you are as a company, what you could do to improve, and just to spark that thought process in people's heads, because it's something you often may feel that is that it doesn't work properly, but you don't know what to do with it, and you don't know what questions to ask maybe, and this is what we wanted to help you with.
Exactly. So probably the first thing to do is that you want to run a quick audit. So understand what's the current setup like. Where are the shortcomings of that setup? Where do you lack visibility? Which one is the first area that you need to fix? And then understand everyone who's involved in that entire process, because you will need to work with those stakeholders to fix that. And don't worry about it. We will share the deck later, so you'll be able to have this checklist tomorrow with you. The second step is about what you mentioned, Jan, again and again, one place to unify your data. Like you really need to, as many of you said in the comments, to bring that data together, because it's the only way to speed up the analysis. There's simply no other solution there, and understand, like what you already said, what are the errors that you're making because of those different reports that you're looking at from different agencies or different accounts. That's probably the critical part of it. And
not to mention, by the way, it will reduce mistakes.
Which is
a big problem, especially when anything's done manually. I know I'm a human. I make too many mistakes. Whenever I do something manual and I try to do things in reports, then I usually have to go and review it, and I probably won't even find a mistake until I showed it to someone else already, which is too late.
Yeah.
So, just having these things automated and kind of working in the background, you can rely on it. So
I get your point. My favorite is sending or receiving screenshots of different data in different platforms. That's always improves the process significantly.
Yeah.
The last step, and this is really maybe not even a step, but this is what you're aiming for, is to build trust for bringing transparency to the entire process. And that's trust between the agency, between the brand, between the regions, between different departments in your organization. Right. So and again, it requires understanding who owns the data, how can you get access to it, and then how do you make people accountable for the performance of the ads? And that sometimes people are afraid to be accountable.
Right.
Yeah, but at least you can accept accountability, right? As me, as someone who's responsible for our advertising activities. I would, I'm completely fine taking accountability for something that happened if I know I worked with the right data, because I was the one to make the call, right? But if you don't have the right data, it's very hard for you to feel accountable for things which were to some degree out of your control. And this is what we're trying to help resolve as well. And it's something you should think about as well.
Yeah. We're going to move into the Q&A section. We started a little bit late, so we're going to take a bit of extra time to answer those questions. So shoot them in either the comment chat box here or the Q&A section. I'm really curious to dive into what Valiant shared about the way that their business does it and what kind of solutions they're looking for.
I'm really excited that Valiant even shared like some of the improvement feedback. So if any of you guys from the audience have anything that would really make it, that you think would make Social Bakers usable for you even more, do not hesitate to find me on LinkedIn and share your feedback with me on LinkedIn, because here in Social Bakers, us product managers, we listen to what our customers are saying. We listen to the needs. So I'd be very interested in more use cases that you see that you think we should be solving for you.
And the same thing actually goes for me. So if you have any additional questions when it comes to paid, you need some advice, something is not clear, send me connect with me on LinkedIn and send me an email message, and I'll definitely answer.
Yeah, that is a really awesome pain point that I can see you shared in the previous comment. Laura, thanks so much. Yeah,
Laura as
really
well.
Useful one.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice this one.
Yeah, we have to save the chat.
Yeah, we definitely have to.
By the way, but that's definitely true. That was my experience as well. Two agencies or multiple agencies in the same country, they're unable to work together many times because they're all trying to get a bigger piece of the pie. They kind of want to keep it to themselves. They want to, the more they're able to prevent access and prevent success of the other company to some degree, the higher chance that they will be able to expand their services. So it's there are a lot of things at play. But yeah, just having something, kind of having access to data and understanding what's happening.
It's obvious that none of us are alone in this. Like it's really every business is dealing with this issue just because the complexity has grown so much, and we needed different agencies to help. And so I think what we're really trying to do is find something that glues this process together.
Yes, exactly.
And there was another thing mentioned earlier, just that somebody would like to hear more about B2B advertising. So what I would suggest, Mantas, we can do some live video, and we can possibly invite
on B2B.
Yeah, we haven't done a bunch of B2B.
Yeah, definitely. You're not the first one to request B2B content, so we'll try to cover that a bit more. What are the other comments we're getting? So Francesco, suggestions for hopefully a soon-to-be digital brand campaign coordinator with no experience working on a global level. We need to coordinate all digital for a given sport brand for. Well, congrats on that awesome.
Hope it works out.
Wow, that's a big one. Yeah. What would be your advice?
So what would be my advice? This one, it will vary from company to company, I'm sure. But one thing to keep in mind is that each one of those regions is different. So if you haven't, if you didn't have experience, running campaigns in different parts of the world, it's completely okay. It's something you will learn. Of course, you will understand the behaviors, but don't expect the same thing to work in all the regions. It simply will not. You need to adjust it, cater it. What I would recommend is to get in touch with local teams within the countries or regions where you will be running some of these campaigns, and try to get feedback. Try to understand how that region is thinking. Maybe just spend some time getting to know the region. Maybe if you will be able to travel there, talk to the local team, just kind of get some first-hand experience, first-hand feedback as well. Because from my experience, what works in Middle East will not work in Brazil, what works in Japan will not work in America. So that's probably the number one tip.
And good luck in your interview tomorrow. Another question from Paloma. So hi guys, how could the tool help us calculate our goals more accurately? Well, considering that situation where the brand has a different agency for paid media and we have the content and creativity part.
Okay, let's just read it. How could the tool help us calculate our goals more accurately? Well, considering the situation where the brand has a different agency for paid media and we have content and creativity part. Okay. So how to calculate how to calculate the goals
more accurately. So how do you know what your objective should be?
Set up?
So for instance, let's say you're starting a campaign, your digital whatever your CMO is telling you, look, we need to make this much money from whatever we've been doing. How can you set up your objectives for that campaign more accurately? Do you need awareness? Do you need lead gen? Do you need
this? I'm not sure if that's something, I think you first need to define like at which stage are you at? We've shown that little graph where, you had the different stages and the different goals. I would refer to that. And also
you mean in this slide?
Yeah, this is the one I mean. So, when you're in the learning stage, like you're not even aware, I mean, like discovery stage where your audience is not even aware of the product. Then, of course, you need to start with just awareness about the product, awareness that it exists, for people to understand a little bit what it's about, and then you kind of slowly get into the second stage where you're trying to, people go and look for reviews, things like that. You might want to get some traffic to your website to actually teach them about how you can help them, or why they should care about your product. Mm-hmm. It's really not very simple. It's not something I can, I can generally answer and that the product can set for you. You will have to be the one behind it to make the call where within this range of focuses or goals your product currently would fall, or your service, or whatever it is you are selling.
But perhaps we actually didn't answer your core question, which is like, how could our tool help you with a campaign objective setting? Well, there's a lot of that our tool does that's outside of just measuring the paid social. It allows you to understand who your audience is, first of all, like who are the personas that your business should be targeting, no matter what campaign you're really running. And that means like understanding their interests, the brands they follow, the affinities that they have towards other brands, towards influencers, which influencers they follow. So all that data is in our platform.
What you could do also with the tool is to understand, to kind of verify your thesis in a way. So you may think your audience is already at a certain step and the targeting is built around this understanding. But once you run it for a little bit, you will see in our platform whether it's actually working or not, if you're getting back the responses or the results that you consider to be important. And if not, then you will have to rethink it. It will, I don't think it will do the work for you to a large part, but it will help you get it right, and it will help you guide you.
Yeah, there's. Let me just specify that it's about being able to set numeric KPI goals in our platform. I remember talking to some of you guys, and you said that that's something that you're working on.
Yeah, it's something that we consider working on to be the ability to select, for example, like your own benchmarks that you want to benchmark yourself against, or select your goals, for example, like to see like your goal is to reach CPC not higher than $2. So being able to monitor it, how it's evolving. So
we actually have that already, right? You can go to our platform and you can see everything in terms of like benchmark, not just your own historical data, but also like the industry, whatever, or regionally.
And the other thing is, actually, we talked about this earlier today, is the conversion data.
Yes.
So this is very important, and this could be actually kind of answering the question. So you could set, for example, your objective or your KPIs would be, for example, how many people actually bought a certain product, which will come in the near future. Or, for example, if you're a B2B company, you could say how many these customers actually qualified as a high quality lead. And this is the kind of stuff that you can set as a goal, and you can see it within the platform in very near future.
Yes.
All right.
Well, we don't want to take any more of your time. I know you are busy, probably need to manage paid social right now. Sorry that we went a little bit over 1 hour, but I hope that it was valuable, and thank you so much for being so active and really letting us know how it's all going for you. It's challenging for everyone, I think.
Yeah. Thank you very much for joining. It was great. I hope we helped with some of your problems. And like we said, get in touch with us on LinkedIn. Reach out to us. We'll be very happy. And see you at the next webinar.
We'll see you next webinar.
Yep. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.